everyone, and welcome back to Lost Planeswalker. You are here with me, Jesse, the Lost Planeswalker. And today, I'm doing a video of Aurelia, the Law Above. This is a brand new commander that's coming out in the Murder at Karlov Manor set. That is the first standard set of this year, and I'm very much looking forward to it. But let's read what Aurelia does. Aurelia, the Law Above, legendary creature angel, flying, vigilance, haste. Whenever a player attacks with 3 or more creatures, you draw a card. Whenever a player attacks with 5 or more creatures, Aurelia, the Law Above, deals 3 damage to each of your opponents, and you gain 3 life. Aurelia is a super sweet commander that can really be built in a number of different ways, but I think I built this one pretty well, and obviously you're going to be wanting to draw a bunch of cards from this and be dealing some damage by making your opponents attack with all their stuff. So this is a super cool commander, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing how people start building this. But I'm going to start out, and like I mentioned in my last video, if you've watched my stuff before, I'm changing up my format a bit. I'm going to be focusing in on only a couple of cards and then calling out the rest of them in the video. But if you want to go through and really read and see what they do, please check out the deck list in the description down below. But starting out, we have mass creature creation. So this is going to be creating a bunch of tokens and whatnot that we can use to attack with, because that's what we want to do. Obviously, Aurelia is only going to give us buffs when we attack. We want to do that as much as possible. So starting out, we have Anima Pakal, Thousand Moon, Assemble the Legion, and Hero of Bladehold. Anima Pakal, Thousand Moon is a super cool new creature from the Lost Caverns of Ixalan that says whenever you attack with 1 or more non-gnome creatures, put a +1/+1 counter on Anima Pakal, then create X 1/1 colorless gnome artifact creature tokens that are tapped and attacking, where X is the number of +1/+1 counters on her. So every turn, we're going to create more and more tokens when we attack with something that isn't a golem, but Anima Pakal doesn't have to attack, and that's the greatest part about this card, is we can attack with something that's flying, maybe it has evasion, or we're attacking with a little token, maybe it's a 1/1 human that one of our other things make. Every turn, if at least one non-gnome creature attacks, we're going to get that benefit, and we're just going to create more and more gnomes, which is just going to make a bigger and bigger board, but is also going to just be able to activate Aurelia every turn for sure. So I love this card. Next up, Assemble the Legion is an enchantment that says at the beginning of your upkeep, put a muster counter on Assemble the Legion. Then create a 1/1 red and white soldier creature token with haste for each muster counter on Assemble the Legion. Now, normally this card isn't as good, just because it's 5 mana, and it kind of takes a long time before you start making a bunch of creatures. But with Aurelia, I think it is a viable option for this deck. And then lastly, we have Hero of Bladehold, creature human knight with battle cry. Whenever this creature attacks, each other attacking creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. And then whenever Hero of Bladehold attacks, create 2 1/1 white soldier creature tokens that are tapped and attacking. So you can see here we have a lot of options to instantly, activate her first ability on Aurelia, so that we will be drawing at least a card whenever a player attacks. And then hopefully the goal is to get enough creatures to get her second ability every turn as well. But other great cards in this category are Adeline, Resplendent Cathar, Charismatic Conqueror, Combat Calligrapher, Iganjo Uprising, Fourth Elingus, Kazul Tyrant of the Cliffs, Keeper of the Accord, Myrel Shield of Argive, The War Games, and Varchild Betrayer of Keldor. So talking about, we wanting to make our opponents attack every turn, there's a small sub-theme in this deck that's all about goading your opponent's creatures or extra combats or whatever. So starting off, the 3 cards I want to talk about are Bailiff, Bartle Entertainer, Disrupticorum, and Taunt from the Ramparts. Bailiff is a legendary creature elf shaman with creatures your opponents control with power less than Bailiff's power are goaded, which this is a very cool ability. And whenever a goaded or attacking creature dies, you create a treasure token. So you can create a ton of treasure if your opponents are attacking with a bunch of stuff. And I actually had an idea, if you guys are interested, in building this with the background, because you can choose a background with this commander that's your parents or ancestors or giants or whatever. It makes this creature a 10/10, because you basically can just goad everybody's stuff from the command zone no matter what, which just seems like a very fun combo, and I figured I'd call it out if anybody was interested. But next up, we have Disruptus Corum, sorcery, goad all creatures you don't control, which is a very fun effect. Probably going to be able to hit both of Aurelia's abilities every time. And similarly, Taunt from the Ramparts, goad all creatures your opponents control. Until your next turn, those creatures can't block. So just another great way to make your opponents swing full out, leaving them open for you to attack, and just gaining you a lot of benefit in the process. So other cards I have here are Bothersome Quasit, Fumiko, the Low Blood, Karlov, Fury of Avernus, and Spectacular Showdown. So this next category I'm going to talk about is pretty big, and it's going to be talking about either buffing your creatures, dealing extra damage, whatever you can do to kind of protect, buff, and just do as much as you can with those creatures, because you want to protect them, because every turn, you want to keep swinging out, so you need to keep them around. So starting out, we have Flowering of the White Tree, Ironis, God of Victory, and Legion Loyalist. Flowering of the White Tree says, legendary creatures you control get +2/+1 and have ward 1, and non-legendary creatures you control get +1/+1. So this is a great way to help protect some of our legendary stuff, keep it on the board, but then also buffing all of our non-legendary stuff as well, which is pretty good. Ironis, God of Victory is probably one of my favorite cards in this deck. It's a legendary enchantment creature god with indestructible. As long as your devotion to red and white is less than 7, this isn't a creature. Creatures you control have menace, which is super great for us, and then prevent all damage that would be dealt to attacking creatures you control, meaning that whenever we swing out, we can swing out full every turn and not worry about them taking any damage. So this is a great card, and is probably one of the best cards in this deck. And then we have Legion Loyalist, a little goblin soldier. I love this guy with haste and battalion. Whenever Legion Loyalist and at least 2 other creatures attack, creatures you control gain first strike and trample until end of turn and can't be blocked by creature tokens this turn. This is such a great card. It's a 1-drop haste goblin that I don't think enough people know about. It is a couple bucks, so maybe they do, but it is so much fun, and this is the perfect deck to put that in. So I'm very happy about that. But some of the other cards we have in this buffing and empowering up is Achroma's Will, Aurelia, Exemplar of Justice, Chance for Glory, City on Fire, Duelist Heritage, Esper Sentinel, Flawless Maneuver, Frontline Medic, Ghostly Prison, Gisela, Blade of Gold Knight, Grand Abolisher, Life of the Party, Nils, Disciple Enforcer, Tajik, Blade of the Legion, Unbreakable Formation, and Windborn Muse. Now, before we move into our last category, I just want to say, if you aren't subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so. It would really mean a lot to me. I would also really appreciate, tell me how you like this video. Was this a lot easier to digest? Did you feel like you got the same amount of information coming through this as my normal videos? Did you like it because it was shorter or longer? Probably shorter. These are not going to get longer if I'm doing them in this format. But, just let me know what you thought about this, because it's just a process. If I'm going to continue to do this, I want to get better at it. And it seemed like maybe people would want shorter videos that cover all the same stuff. So I'm trying some stuff out. So please let me know. I'd really appreciate it. So the last category, as always, is the good stuff category, and this one's also pretty big because there was a lot of undefined stuff in this deck. Maybe there was mana ramp, maybe there was card draw, maybe there was, maybe there was, spells that destroy stuff. So I really wanted to, clump that all together and let you still know about it because they are still great cards to add to this deck. But starting off, we have Aurelia the War Leader, Fireman Commando, and Audric Lunarch Marshal. Aurelia the War Leader is a legendary creature angel with flying, vigilance, and haste, and whenever Aurelia the War Leader attacks for the first time each turn, untap all creatures you control. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase. What I love about this is during our turns, we can just basically double up all of her abilities. And if we have Ironis out there that protects all our creatures, then we can, make sure that none of our stuff gets destroyed, and we can just swing in again and just deal some more damage. After that, we have Fireman Commando, which is one of my favorite cards from the March of the Machine commander decks. This has flying, and whenever you attack with 2 or more creatures, draw a card. So this one's even less. You only need 2 creatures swinging in to draw cards, but whenever another player attacks with 2 or more creatures, they draw a card if none of those creatures attacked you. So this prompts your opponents to attack other people, which is just perfect for us. And lastly, one of my favorite cards ever made, and I try to put it in any deck that has a ton of keywords like this one, but we have Audric Lunarch Marshal. Legendary creature, human soldier. At the beginning of each combat, creatures you control gain first strike until end of turn. A creature you control has first strike. The same is true for flying, death touch, double strike, haste, hexproof, indestructible, lifelink, menace, reach, skulk, trample, and vigilance. So that just means that if one of your creatures has one ability that is listed on Audric, all of your creatures get that ability during combat. So maybe all your stuff has indestructible, flying, menace, haste, anything and everything. It just buffs up your entire board an incredible amount. So it is an awesome addition to this deck. But some of the other good stuff cards that I think you should have are Arcane Signet, Boros Charm, Chaos Warp, Curse of Opulence, Embercleave, Fight to the Death, Firemane Avenger, Get Lost, Jessica's Will, Knight of the White Orchid, Mangara the Diplomat, Path to Exile, Professional Facebreaker, Skull Clamp, Soul Ring, Solemn Simulacrum, Stroke of Midnight, Swords of Plowshares, the Reaver Cleaver, Vanquish the Horde, and wear and tear. And that is it for this deck. Like I already said, thank you for watching. Let me know down in the comments down below if you enjoyed this, if you like this new format, or, maybe some cards I should have added to this deck. Other goad cards, other creature creation cards, would you go full out and put in, creature token doublers and just fill this up with, as many creature tokens as possible, or would you fill it up with, goading your opponent's stuff? There's so many different ways to build this, and I kind of want to touch on a little bit of everything, so you could take what I had and just improve on that. And like I also mentioned before, if you aren't subscribed to my channel, please do so. I've got a lot more decks coming out, and as the set releases, I'm going to creating even more. I just love Ravnica. I'm so excited for this set, and I hope you guys are as well. And before I end this, if you would please share this with a friend and leave a like, that would really help me out and push this to more people. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And today's Scryfall card of the day is Harvest Worm. The Worm's Weave, Elvish expression meaning plowed fields. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you later, Planeswalkers.